Do, 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 do.
You're now live.
We're now live.
You are now live.
Live from Studio 586B.
It's Where's the Line? With Matt and
Where's
Ross.
the line?
With Matt and Ross.
Where's the line?
With Matt and Ross.
With Matt and Ross.
With
Ross
Matt
and
and
Matt.
Ross. Ross and Matt.
Ross.
Rotten Mass.
Rotten Mass.
Mass Rot.
Mass Rot. That's the funniest one, yeah.
Today on the Mass Rot Show, we'll be talking about fly larvae. Yes, maggots. No, actually today's we
trials.
Well,
It's one of our trials.
we started off with a power outage yesterday,
Yeah.
which is weird. There's been a couple in the last months, one of them longer than the others.
Yeah.
And when the longer one hit, I thought maybe they fixed that.
Yeah, I thought so too, because it was good for a couple.
Well, yeah, so I was like, okay, they replaced whatever they needed to, and this'll.
And this won't happen.
So yesterday,
again, is what I was
I'm
thinking.
running home to do a show
Yeah.
because I was off taking care of some other things going on in my life.
Yeah.
And I was literally in the parking garage, I think, when I got
When
the
you
text.
got the text.
When I got her text, maybe she called me, and then I saw your text,
Okay.
and I was like, oh, what the. So then I called Ross to go, okay, reschedule this, reschedule that.
Yeah.
We could have done some of it power-wise, but I had spent since Saturday with a loved one in the hospital on and off and embraced the fact that we needed more of a Monday. That our Monday, I got home in the middle of the day. We did about 4 or 5 hours, and then I left
Yeah.
again. And because I'm excited about this week. So,
Me too. Me too. This is gonna be an exciting week.
And okay, that's the weirdest part. And I was talking about this last night with some friends.
Mhm.
I am so grateful. You know what? And my loved one is doing amazingly well. I'm so grateful.
Right.
And you know what? There's this amazing guy that helped around the house because I had to run around. And you know what? He was being big brother. He was being dog sitter. He was.
Yeah. I had to clean up poop.
How can I right? There was poop. There was poop. Do we have a poop show?
I think we do.
We probably do. I know we have a
I
turds.
know we have a turd show, but
We need to go dive in.
are we gonna do?
We need
Not
to
right
dive
now,
in and
but-
see if we have poop. But anyways,
Oh dear.
well, and it's the hard part that. So I was trying to explain to somebody that my outlook on it is actually kind of sciencey,
Mhm.
and they're going, "This doesn't sound sciencey," and I know that's the trying to explain the duality of both thoughts.
Right.
That thought everybody else is having, I'm having,
Right.
but somehow I know it's supposed to work, and I've never felt that way before or gone, you know what, I know this. So as opposed to people looking at me and going, hey, are you thinking about your responsibilities, which kills me.
Right.
I don't know how to not.
Yeah.
I'm not as attached to it as I once was, in the sense that I may have looked at somebody yesterday and said, you know what, worst case scenario, we get evicted.
I may not be following through on my responsibilities, but I definitely always think about them.
Right, they're on my mind.
They're on my mind.
Do not think that anybody with anxiety is not thinking about that crap that you're talking to them about.
Yes, because they are.
Whatever that crap may
If we've
be.
already pre-established that I have anxiety, it's probably because I'm thinking about things I need to do or things I
Even
am
if
not
they're
doing.
not real.
Even right?
Even if they're just spinning in my head and burning like rubber in ways that are never going to go
Yup.
anywhere. You know, Fast and the Furious 20 in my brain.
Fast and right?
Maybe the dead guy does it.
What do you mean?
The-
Oh.
yeah, maybe the dead
Paul
guy's
Walker?
maybe he's in charge of spinning wheels in people's heads that never go anywhere.
You
Well, I
know
mean, he's
what?
dead. I
Maybe.
mean, that's all he could get away with. It's not like he's
Maybe.
gonna drive a real car these days. Maybe he drives a diesel.
A diesel. He t-
Damn,
a-
did
a
you
truck
get the
that
VIN
takes
plate
diesel.
on that car in your head? It was a diesel.
It was a diesel.
Well, but So, and I kept looking at people last night as I'm talking to them going, I feel like this.
Right.
Comme si, comme ça. I feel ish.
Yeah, that's how you have to feel in that
But
moment.
the only place I can exist right now is I believe in what we're doing.
In a moment where something happens that's like puts life in perspective. In a moment like that, the only way that you can feel when you have to keep your ish together is okay. You have to, not necessarily you have to be good or bad, but you have to be okay because you have to keep it together for everybody else, you know?
Can you truly live somewhere other than on the razor's edge?
I don't think so. No.
That is it only living when you're pushing that boundary.
Right.
When you're following your why.
Right.
And for the first time in the last few weeks, I just am flat out looking at people going, no, this is more important than me. I'm not, that there are amazing things afoot.
Yeah, definitely.
And we have come through every hurdle so far.
Right.
Somehow. I wouldn't even claim
It's the way it
unscathed,
feels,
thank
man.
you. I mean, oh God, we were going at it yesterday.
Yeah.
We love each other, so we fight.
Yeah.
People that don't love each other don't fight. They hold it in, they don't talk. We
Yeah.
talk. Sometimes we talk loudly. But then we get to the other end of it.
Yeah. And then we feel better, and then we're happy, and we're...
The world falls apart when
Enjoying
you
each
shove it
other's
all under the
space.
rug.
Yeah.
Because then you've never taken the lessons from the trials.
Right.
Man, we've had lessons.
Man.
But,
I can get into it.
okay, now look at what you've done. That we run ourselves in circles, beating ourselves up.
About the trials.
Oh, absolutely. About the future, about the past. And so as everybody's on me about it, I'm going, well, I don't know how to live in those places anymore.
What do you think is the most, like, pressing on your mind?
It's the finances.
Mm.
And I'm irritated that they're even in my head.
I get that.
I have more important things to do.
Being around you is, like, it's made it more difficult for money to be on my mind.
That
Because you don't want it there. I don't want it there.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know,
I don't want to have to think about it.
And I openly talked about my monastic thoughts last night, which kind of outs me. I mean, I'm living. Okay, there's one piece where I disagree with. There are a couple faiths that have issues with my thoughts of cannabis as being medicinal and my sharing it with people, or my thoughts of, not that I've ever done that in the state of Ohio, this is just theoretical, and my use of cigarettes.
Right.
Other than that, all the other traditional monk stuff I'm basically doing.
Right.
Including the no money part. We got that down to a T. Oh my God. I've got no money down to such a T that I got a report from my bank today saying I got $1.12.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am very aware, and making sure the lights stay on, and making sure, oddly, that this gets out.
I think it's getting out. I think it's gonna go.
It feels
I'm
constantly
confident
like I'm
of
in the
that.
middle of an avalanche, but it hasn't hit the valley yet.
Yeah.
But it feels like tumbling down a mountain, that's for damn sure.
Whew.
Out of control. We talk to...
It feels like tumbling up a mountain sometimes.
Right? We talked to someone who literally is historically part of the creation of hip-hop as we know it.
That's...
Who came to us and said, I need inspiration. Came to us, and I said, you inspire me.
Right.
I'm inspired by all the people we talk to. Even the ones that don't quite agree, or that don't appreciate,
It's
there's
difficult
there's
to
one
deal with
person
that.
in my head now where I go, I don't know how she feels. But I appreciate her.
I'll say that it's difficult to deal with that. The fact that there's so many people that we've talked to.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that like weighs on my mind because I'm kind of like, oh snap, I almost feel like I have a responsibility to these people to do something and to keep doing something.
How many people have said, keep doing this, this is the future?
Quite a few.
And you're just like, how do you hold that?
How do you...
Trials. People don't think about it, but part of what goes on, and I love all the compliments. This is not a complaint by any means, but it's in your head. How do you fathom we're just working our asses off trying to figure out how to make it move. That's what we do. Our job here is figuring out what's next, figuring out endless scheduling, figuring out, but it's also a joy. There's an organic nature to it. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to force something to happen.
It's funny because my whole life I felt like my whole life has felt like I'm just managing pressure. Like when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure you got this speech quite a few times.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to always get you have so much potential speech.
Oh, it fucking kills you.
If you work harder,
God.
if you you have so much potential. Like
every
time,
and then eventually you get oh God, I wish you had worked harder. You've just you had so much potential. Why'd you do this bad on this? And you're like, fuck you.
You're like, dude, I put energy into this. Like, what the heck?
Okay, so here's the craziness. That is what my classmates told me in high school. So, sophomore year, everybody knows about SATs.
Yeah.
SATs are entrance exams used. There's SATs and ACTs. But there's a PSAT, a pre-SAT.
Yeah.
Traditionally taken junior year so that you can kind of see where you're at, and then you take your SAT senior year or ACT. Now, at the school I went to, there was a prep class sophomore year.
Yeah.
Half of the year you spent getting ready for the SAT.
Right.
I mean, for the PSAT.
For the PSAT, year. Right.
Or maybe we didn't do that till I don't remember what years it was. I know that sophomores took PSATs at St. Charles.
Right.
I was in the top 10 juniors.
I get what you're saying.
So I'm a year. But literally, then what happened was I had teachers come to me and say what you're saying.
Yeah.
About their specific class, and why was I not trying? And then, okay, so it's why I have trouble reaching out to the guy that I would really like to work with on getting the 5013C done. It's all connected. This is how crazy. So what you said, follow it.
Right.
I'm going to get you to why the 5013C is not done.
Okay.
Mark, wherever you are. Mr. Kanibi, fine lawyer that you are. I was standing in the hall waiting for second year French. He was standing in the hall waiting for Mr. Pena's class, fourth year Spanish. I said, let me look at your homework. And I was translating it. His fourth year Spanish.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, I have 2 years of Latin and 2 years of French.
So he
had 2 years of Latin and 4 years of Spanish. Was he pissed that I could that I could translate his fourth year? Not pissed.
No, I understand.
He literally looked at me and said, "Why do you fucking waste your ability? Why you have so much potential, but it's so totally wasted."
Yeah.
He's the lawyer that probably has the closest relationship to the stuff we need done. We used to play D&D together.
Yeah.
In middle school and stuff. John Taylor, David Lakin, Ian Short. Yeah, Ian Short. But I'm afraid to reach out because I feel like I was an asshole all through high school.
I feel that way as well. I think I took a PSAT freshman year. And my scores were senior level.
Right, exactly. That you run through a test and they go, oh. And now part of it is I test well.
Yeah.
I've always
but also
so if people don't know, there's actually logic to testing. And if you can as opposed to if you can't figure out the answer, don't keep trying to figure it out. Figure out what's not the answer.
What's not the answer, yeah.
And if you can get that down to 3, guess.
If you can get it down to 3, guess. But if you can get it down to 2, you're golden. Like
50-50, you might be a millionaire.
right.
Slumdog, but hey, at least you got
50-50, if you can get half of those right, that's a decent amount of questions.
Well, right, and that's what they teach you in that. For the record, if anybody wants to go pay for SAT and ACT training,
yeah. That's
what I'm gonna.
I got that
cover it all
training.
right here. Never leave anything blank. Always eliminate, and then pick.
And if a question's too hard, just skip it.
Yeah, no, that's right.
If a question's
that a wrong
really,
answer
really hard,
counts worse than no answer.
Yes.
That's true.
And then always make sure you're like it's a time thing more than anything else.
You must finish, and don't forget to put your name on it. It's worth 600 points.
Yup, because I knew some kids who missed that.
I had people. So I did take my SATs, but they were low, and because I'd been out, that was the night. Anyways,
my SATs were low
Trials.
because I didn't try.
So
I didn't put in the effort.
I didn't try, and then I still had friends offering to pay me to go take theirs.
Once I finally got to the point that I was supposed to take the SATs, I had done a whole bunch of SAT training, but I hadn't actually done a lot of practice tests, so I didn't really put in as much effort as I could have put in.
So how many people in the last
score.
year have asked you for your SAT scores?
You serious? You serious
I bet it's the same numbers have asked for mine in the last 30.
Exactly. I don't remember what my SAT score is. I don't remember.
What if we just educated everybody?
Yeah.
Here's a thought.
Yeah.
Here's a big thought. What if you try to make profit off education? What happens is you have people that can't afford it.
Yeah.
And then you're missing out on that perspective.
Yeah.
That
I've known people that didn't go to college that are smarter than some people I know who went to college.
Well, and okay, for the record though,
not as a bad thing, just
I personally think we need to get away from traditional college to some extent and go to more of an online certification system. Because that's the way it's working anyways. So many professions, an online certification system would work just as well. And so then you offer education to the entire world. You just do. You know, my thought has always been that somehow you figure it out that schools want to invest in their students because they get a percentage of what comes out of them after. Instead of...
I've always thought about a work to... like a work to earn system.
I was suggesting 1% schools.
1% schools? What's that?
And the way a 1% school works is everybody gets an education and the school gets 1% of their money for life.
Oh.
But so the school wants to educate you, wants to give you more education, wants you to make more money, is fully invested in the idea of I'm not going to churn out weird frigging major that it becomes more like there's got to be a way.
I'm gonna be invested in this person.
Trials. But we got through SATs in the world of trials and we passed those. And then you get out into the real world and trials aren't like that. No, you don't get multiple choice. You got to be open.
You get
open-ended.
You get essay writing.
Man, your Discord's going crazy, bro.
Oh, really?
Paul McCarthy doesn't know what time my show is. He's asking to see how I'm doing. Paul, if you're out there, I'm doing okay. I really am. That this conversation is very about... In this hand, what you've got is there's a lot of trials.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot going on. If those of you who haven't figured out, tomorrow's show's called Tribulations.
Yep.
That, you know what? I love what we're doing.
Me too.
I feel... How many times can people tell me it's meaningful and me still think it's not? At some point, I have to give in.
At some point, I have to give a shit.
Right? Well, no, that at some point...
Well, no,
So what we were talking about the idea that when people say all that stuff, it feels like a weight.
Yeah.
They don't mean it that way.
They don't mean it that way at all. They mean it out of love and respect.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, a beautiful friend spoke about me last night relative to our shared mission and the differences in our situation and how much he was going to... I should have let him read it. I love the Roosevelt quote. I couldn't give it off the top of my head, but it's the get in the arena speech.
Yeah.
You know, the one Brene Brown always uses, where you're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I had to do something.
You can't complain if you're not in the arena.
I'm not here for me, because in my head I could leave at any minute. That in my head, 54 maybe. None of that may be real. But it means that my focus isn't over here.
Right.
That the reason I haven't discarded that anxiety,
Right.
that instead I've cemented it as a feature, not a fault, is because worst case scenario, I'm wrong. Wait a minute. Or is worst case scenario I'm right? Or is, so I'm not attached to the outcome.
Right.
I will laugh at my 54th birthday party and we'll have a great time.
Right.
I don't know.
It's like, I don't know.
But in my head, I'm not attached. So as much as I talk about that and people go, oh, why does he keep saying that stuff? Because I'm okay with it. Not attached to it. But it's giving me that I got to get this done and not for me.
One of the things that scares people is that sometimes when I find something to work, sometimes I can work like I'm not going to see an old age. Like burning the candle at both ends working.
My suggestion is you enter the day,
a
newborn child, inspired by the awe of the universe in a place you've never been, excited about what you're going to learn, knowing that you die as the sun sets. So that every moment is lived like there isn't another opportunity.
Right.
That you're present in it.
Right.
With those opportunities. You know, it can be overwhelming.
Man. Yeah.
Well, people look at me and they go, so what's your plan? And I go, well, I have a number of things that if. And they're real upset about you need to get more focused. And I'm like, no, I'm focused. I'm just not attached to the outcome, because that'd be crazy. I don't know. Do I have some meetings with people this week where I feel like they may make a major difference in our situation?
Right.
Okay, but I'm not going to go into those meetings like that. There's a reason why I always do 10 questions first. I really do. There's a reason why I want to talk to people first.
Right.
And it's not because I want to get them invested. That's the general thought, and I get that. That I joke about, give me an hour, I'll get in their head.
Right.
Give me an hour, they'll get in mine.
Yeah. That is true. I feel like we learn so much more from doing 10 questions and all that kind of stuff.
And then I want to work with somebody. Then it feels meaningful.
Right.
And so the ifs of the world are not like as everybody else going, that's not in control.
Right.
You think you're in control? The universe be universe, and I'm just a speck. How much ego do I need to feel like I need to be in control of this thing I can't control?
Right.
Which is cool, though, because it's all been lesson, and if I can't control it, it can teach. If you think you got it under control, you're going to miss everything while you keep trying to whack-a-mole.
You keep trying to figure out the tests.
And we whack-a-mole a lot, don't get me wrong. We spend a lot of time whacking moles. He's 19, he whacks his mole all the time.
Oh, my Jesus.
Oh, my Jesus.
No.
Jesus Papoose?
Jesus Papoose.
Well, go ahead.
You're trying to figure out the test before you get it, is what you're doing. You're, like, some nights anxiety is literally just me trying to figure out the future. And it's not possible.
We shall see.
Exactly. I can't sleep because I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen maybe.
I've gotten really good at clearing my head.
I've been doing better at it recently.
I miss our mindfulness class, though, because I'm off my breathing. And I hate it when... So I kind of like and don't like the fact that the class I take in Vietnam, Zoom, of course. No, I jump on a jet every week on Friday and I go off to Vietnam. I wish.
Go to Vietnam.
Pilot Train, if you're out there, you know what? I would show up in a heartbeat just to sit down and talk for a minute. I need to get her on. I think her English is more than good enough to do 10 questions. But last weekend, with the stuff going on, I had a class on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
And we'll tell you know what we should talk about. Okay, so a close member of my family had a heart attack on Saturday. They're fine. They're home. They're on the right meds.
Right.
The support, the beauty of who you are relative to supporting through it. The guy from Germany currently living in Portland, Violet Tran, who I had a long conversation with, who sent beautiful wishes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to my family member, and you could feel it. And I shared with her that this was the family member that had taught me about that at 13 she had started working on Reiki and stuff. And
Right.
we're talking about my mom. I'm not trying to, I just try not to. So, and Paul, and the funny thing was, it was all based on people that by coincidence had gotten a hold of me.
Mm-hmm.
With Violet, it was that I had said I was really excited about going to class, and I'll see you there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent her a text and said, I really am sorry. I was really looking forward to this, but you know what? My mom
Right.
had a heart attack. And was I victim signaling? Maybe a little. See, that's how I feel about telling people about stuff like that. And I have trouble accessing the support because I feel like, oh, support, that's my job.
Right.
That I had trouble with that. As far as trials, if you want to understand the money thing, among other things, I want to help the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on learning to want to help me at all. That in the end, if you guys are all universe and the divine, I have to at some point accept that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a place my head goes. So that when people are appreciative,
Right.
and oh my God, the beautiful things people have said,
Yeah.
not just in that situation, but in our situation, the support. Josh with the mic stands and Dermot with the mics and the and everybody wants me to be worried about a piece that just feels so much less meaningful
Then what's going on?
than
Yeah.
that those relationships. I mean, I'm talking to a buddy on the phone. I'm not talking to strangers. Doesn't matter who the interview's with.
Right.
Or it feels that way.
Yeah.
Have you met my friends?
Right. Right.
Have you met your friends? But do you know what I mean? That to some extent we don't stop
To really
meet our
analyze the people we've met, you know?
Yeah. I had epiphany too.
You had epiphany too.
I had epiphany too.
Yeah.
We gotta get that book out. We need to normalize epiphany. Somebody is hot on me.
I'll give you a chapter. I just got to think of what epiphany I want to highlight.
Yeah, no. Or tell your stories about how they affect you. Or it's the goal is a book about not just the specifics of having epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So much easier to say. An epiphany just sounds weird. So I was having epiphany. Darkest epiphanies.
Was having epiphany.
Well, I, across the board, have trouble asking people for help. Always have. I don't like the strings around it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's no criticism of anyone.
No, there feels...
That's the way money works.
There feels like there's strings around money, always.
Well, and so when I say, no, I want... Okay, so what I have to do is get the 501(c) stuff done so that what people can do is make actual donations in a tax-deductible way.
Right.
I have to set up... It has to happen quickly. It won't.
Right.
Unless because I keep avoiding it.
Mm.
This is the trial. How do I learn how to receive? How do I learn how to take the compliment? How to take the support? It makes me so uncomfortable. That's why that's what matters to me.
I'll say that it makes me uncomfortable, but I'm a little bit more comfortable with asking.
He's like, but if you send me a check,
if you
I'll
send me a
cash
check,
it.
I'll cash it. Yeah, there we go.
Love and support for
Love and Roses.
Oh, for Moss Rot.
From Moss Rot.
Moss Rat.
Mass Rot. Mass
No,
Rot.
Moss Rat.
Mass Rot is the one. That's
Yeah,
got to
but-
be the one. Mass Rot.
But technically, Ross, Moss, Matt, Rat, Moss Rats.
Moss Rat.
We're Moss Rats.
I'm telling you, Moss Rat and Mass Rot both make sense.
I agree.
That's the funny part.
Oh, because, yeah, you just move. Okay, it depends on whether or not you're moving the vowels with it. You're
Yeah.
right. It still works.
It still works.
Do we take 2 letters or 1? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Mass Rot, our new video game. Coming out soon.
Followed by Mott Rats. Mott Rats. I
Rats.
didn't say it right. I said the wrong one. Dang it. It's okay. One of my
Mott
trials
Rats
is
still
words,
works.
you know?
Mass Rot.
Mass
you're right.
Rot.
Anyway,
Yeah,
stop.
that thing.
Trials. We love wordplay.
One of our trials is words.
Well, who, what, where, and when are powerful. All we love is questions.
Mm.
I love questions. That's where life exists the most. Who's on first? No, who's on first?
Yeah.
Perspective. Literally the difference between a question mark and an exclamation point in the same context.
Question mark.
One is it? One is.
Yeah. Is it? Or
Who
is it?
on first? Who is on first? That's what I love it because for me it highlights inside your head the way perspective works.
It's what we might call a double entendre. I really love double entendres.
Well, double entendres usually have a kind of a sexual kind of.
Not always.
I think. Okay, I'm not going to argue about this right now.
But yeah. Sorry.
So, people are perplexed that I'm not more attached to that. Me too. Every alarm in me going off relative to, you know what I mean?
Wants to be attached to it almost. Right.
Well, it has to be. I love you guys.
Right.
That's what, for the record, if you want to know what people literally look at me and say, they say, well, what about the people in your house? Don't you care about them as well? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I happen to love all living things. And I'm surrounded by them, and no, it's a huge piece of who I am. I was getting ready to say responsibility, but I don't do it for that anymore. I did it for that my entire life. I do it because the life teaches me more than I could possibly give. My care and compassion is just an afterthought relative to the wisdom that endlessly is offered to me by this amazing universe I live in. And by that I mean beyond just, yay, the whole universe. I mean, no, we have issues here sometimes. Don't get me wrong. There are more people live in this house than just us. And we have an amazing life.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
That in the world of, oh my God, they could go under any minute. I don't know anybody hungry. Well, Suge's always hungry. So that
Suge is always hungry.
Suge's always hungry. Give him some of a vanilla ice, he'll eat it right up. He likes ices. No, he doesn't. That when I look at how to proceed, it's keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
Just up the ante.
Yeah.
That when it looks desperate, more shows.
Go desperate.
That the question is okay, so everybody has pushed along the way for either of us somewhere along the way to go work somewhere.
Yeah.
Is part of it a passive aggressive thing where I schedule the fuck out of the schedule to the point that, no, look, we're working here? I don't know. I'm not attached to whether that's why it happened. So, but the thought's there. I mean, it's not something I'm overly attached to. Can I access those?
Right.
Yeah, I think about all that stuff. I know I'm doubling down. I know it's freaking everybody out.
Right. I think doubling and tripling down is what we need right now. It's as much as I would allow the anxiety to take over traditionally, I can't anymore, because we've talked to too many people, we've gotten too deep into this, we've gotten too invested to just give up on it. It is the way it feels. It's too much. It's been too much of a trial already for me to quit halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
But here's the weird thing. I hated taking my SATs, and I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
In the world of trials, the rewards have far outweighed the cost.
Well, no, when we say trials, I often think of the double meaning in the word, which is a trial, something you're going through, and also like a trial, like you're fighting for something.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels like something we're fighting for, as opposed to something that we're going through.
I'm here to change the world.
Yeah.
I say it openly now. But this is how I'm doing it. Because you're right. You can't just change the world yourself. But have you met my friends? And if you go through your life going, have you met my friends, to everybody, and make each person in front of you a friend, I am telling you how exponentials work.
It might take some time, but you'll get there.
I have a question. Might take some time. 6 months in, 7, I guess.
We've done a lot.
How many continents are we not touching?
1.
Antarctica. For those of you trying to figure out which one, Antarctica.
We need to get some scientists on board.
I just haven't. I could delve. No, I know how to get a hold of. I could do that. Maybe we need Antarctica. Oh.
We need Antarctica for.
New surprises coming soon. This is the trial show. I have an idea, but I endlessly am having ideas. You know that. Wow, what a rich bounty being here and seeing the potential. And I don't mean just here in my basement in this studio. I'm talking to you.
I'm talking to you.
That as bad as it is, and it is,
as bad as it is,
the potential is overwhelming.
The potential's overwhelming.
I
tried to make that
this
one work.
This is how we harmonize.
that last line didn't go.
On the radio.
On the radio.
God, I love that.
Yeah, no, I was surprised. I was surprised by how much they were singing and how much they were harmonizing. Like when I first heard that, I was like, this is gonna blow Matt's mind. Like
it's the stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
It's the mix. It's the not one or the other. It's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's, you know what? I spend so much time thinking about the next thing that as much as all of the amazing experiences are categorized or whatever, it's easy to lose sight of, wow, all the people we've talked to.
Right.
All the time you have spent with me and us talking.
We talk a lot.
We do. But we also share a love of, movies.
Yeah.
We share a love of documentaries on process of musicians.
Sitcoms.
Well, the funniest part was I realized how weird we are when I tried to show the rest of the, like, we were watching the 3 Days of Woodstock, the original movie, and everybody was looking at their phones except me and you. We're like glued, going, "Oh wow, yeah, no, see what he's doing there," and everybody else is like, we're like, I look over at you and I go, I think maybe our viewing, maybe it's more obscure than I realized. But I talked to a guy yesterday, history of hip hop, and he was going to go off and listen to Richie Havens because he hadn't heard it.
Right.
If you get a chance,
I'm
anybody,
gonna. You know what? I'll do it after the show, but I'll post it in the chat. I'll post it in the Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, and yeah, bring live music. It.
Yeah, I should post more.
Because the one thing I posted the Irish one in the chat.
Right.
Nobody bite on it, but oh well.
Nobody bit, but that's okay.
But the other thing is, you start conversations under stuff, and you may be surprised.
When we start to have more conversations with the more people in the Discord, it's gonna get a little bit easier for people to want to participate in the Discord because they're participating with us.
Well, we've got a contest coming out of that soon.
We've got some interviews coming up. You know?
Yeah.
For a trial, this is going pretty.
Hey, if anybody out there knows Ice Cube, Ice-T, or Willie Nelson,
or Vanilla Ice, I even talked to Vanilla Ice.
I would talk to Vanilla Ice.
I think Suge might not let him in, but you know.
You know that if you have connections out there that you think would be meaningful, right. And I don't mean that it doesn't have to. Okay, Ice Cube and Willie Nelson are going to be here for our state fair. Was the only reason I was. Yeah. I mean, Ice Cube and Willie Nelson. I always throw in Ice-T because I like him, and you know what? Thinking about it, LL Cool J too, especially if he sends me a hat.
You want an LL Cool J?
I know. I want a Kanga hat. I want a Kanga hat like his. I want him to get a Kanga hat for me. And then she'll be like, dude, I got your Kanga hat. Because as a white guy, you can't get away with wearing that hat unless a black dude gives it to you.
I see.
And, you know, being that LL Cool made it like cool.
Yeah.
If LL gave it to me,
if your explanation, listen,
you know what?
If your explanation for having the hat was the fact that LL Cool J gave you the hat, that gives you that.
Do you know that Poland has honorary N-word status?
What?
That I forget which group of people sent.
Who said that?
The Haitians.
The Haitians.
No, so they sent these Polish guys to go beat the Haitians up.
Okay.
As part of somebody else's army. The Poles get there and side with the Haitians and turn on the other people.
Okay.
And so the Haitians, to honor Poland, make them honorary Haitians.
Okay. That's a strange connection.
Trials, man. Be on the right side, even if they're telling you to do something wrong.
Right.
There's going to come a moment where we as a people will have to realize if we set down our guns, we could quit killing each other. And I don't mean you're not allowed, I don't mean don't have guns at home. I don't have gun issues. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the United States, so I'm like, yeah, it's a little overmuch. But that if the soldiers stop fighting, the idiots in the towers can't do this.
You need all of the soldiers to stop fighting, though.
No, and I don't know how that's meaningful yet. It's just one of those thoughts that goes through your head. And I know some people are like, well, that's nee. And I'm not, no. I can't. I talk to people all over the frigging world. And how am I supposed to go and then this group is bad?
Right.
I'm done with groups being bad. Quit making new teams. Fuck the old teams. How about one team? Imagine what we could do. Imagine it. What makes me want to listen to Gollum? You know what? I know the show's been a little all over the place. But that's how it feels.
Yeah.
And that's meaningful. You can see that it's hard for us to dwell in the spot people want us to dwell in. We have trouble talking about the trials.
Yeah, we do.
Because no matter what, we come back around to the gratitude.
It's like what me and Reggie, us and Reggie were talking about. It always has to come back to the positive.
It has to.
Yeah.
It's meaningful. You know, if you go read my book, it starts in the darkest place. And the other end is us here.
Yeah.
Sort of. That was the 4 months that had a huge impact on my life.
Right.
You know, that the drawings are representative of my soul. The thoughts are straight. There's no I was writing it for myself, and the reason I put it out the way I did was because, just like with 10 questions, I am not asking anybody else to expose themselves in a way I am not willing to.
Right. You're not asking no questions that you wouldn't answer yourself.
I'm not bringing heat towards people. I've got questions.
Right.
I want to understand. I want to see the world through everybody else's eyes. That I think there are amazing answers found simply in us accepting that we're a family. Stopping this crap. The adults standing up and going, no, I'm done with this. You know, no more. And that's why I have trouble with money.
Right.
Because let's say what I do is I accept it. It's all flowing into me. My head will get clouded. I'm human. That's why you take a vow of poverty. It's easy to get if the money starts flowing, it's easy to go, well, it's better to chase that because I can take better care of people.
Right.
That was a point made was, well, but isn't it true that if you bent on this, you wouldn't be punishing your family? Not
right.
heavy at all.
That's heavy as hell.
Not heavy at all.
That's heavy.
And nobody means it that way.
It's a trial. It's a trial to deal with. It's something to be thought about. Like, the reason that the money is on my mind is because I've always been the type of person to take on. Something has to happen. Something has to change in me.
I've always walked around going, "This is my job. I must take care." And
yeah. Even as a little kid, like if someone gave me $20, I was always giving it to my mom because she needed gas money. It's little stuff like that. It's like just.
Pinky the Clown. The one time I actually stole from 7-Eleven, I felt so guilty. I dressed up as a clown and gave it away to the other kids in the neighborhood. I was 6, maybe 7.
I actually got caught trying to steal a ring pop for a girl.
Well, the 7-Eleven in Bucyrus. First off, they kept all their returned bottles out back, so you could walk in with returned bottles and be like, "Here, yeah, I need my money for the returned bottles." And they're the same ones that have been out back. You need your bill.
Yeah.
Terrible. But we needed somebody needed boxes for moving, and they said, "Oh yeah, they're in the back. You can just go look for them." And they put us in candy heaven. Like it was the room where all the candy to go out on the shelves was, and I stole some Starburst.
You stole some Starburst.
But I gave them away. I only ate one. I felt really bad after the first one. It defines me.
Right.
You know what? I have been portrayed as a Lothario that, mindlessly got around amongst the ladies, and no, I can't because of guilt. I'm a serial monogamist. My definition of monogamy, though, just sometimes includes more people. Wait a minute.
Wait a second.
But in a relationship is my point.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know how to deal with this part. That we've meandered all over the place, and the trial we're really talking about is the real one. The one where we've meandered around it. We don't like to talk about money.
Yeah.
The reality is, there's a spot fund me in the chat every day, and that's what I tell people. You know what? If somebody really, I'm more than willing to accept money that way. Please understand, I know which account it's going into, though.
Right.
That any money that comes in, that's why my mom's I moved her onto that account so that there would be accountability.
Right.
Accountable for what? There's like $20 in it. There's 150 sitting in the spot fund me that I could move over, but it's not $150 I wouldn't move.
Right.
That would pay for little stuff.
Right.
That if it hit 300, I'd probably pay the ads off on Facebook.
Right.
I mean, the problem with that is the advertising dollar has shrunk a great deal. It's been over a month since we've run an ad. It is what it is. Word of mouth, man.
That's all we got now.
Well, no. That's literally... So we went... The deep dive on trials yesterday was promotion and scams.
Right.
And in the end, what it said was, keep on swimming. Don't believe there are shortcuts. Keep on swimming.
Mm-hmm.
It's meaningful.
Yeah.
Just is. Maybe we should reach out to StoryCorps and do something for them.
StoryCorps? Who's
Maybe
that?
you'll see us on NPR. I don't know. I know that I love what we're doing. And I know that we'll be back tomorrow. And tomorrow's going to be a really upbeat show because we're going to do Tribulations.
Yeah.
Because that's really where our head's at.
That's really where we're at.
We're so grateful for everything going on that it like comes across.
It's hard to do this show because we're so much in the next show.
But that's not. I don't think it's a bad thing.
I don't think it's a bad thing either.